All right, so we're going to talk about assignment 2 now. So assignment 1 has gone by. Hopefully you've had your responses back. You've had a little bit more time to acquaint yourself with the course, and now you're headed into assignment 2. Assignment 2 focuses on lectures 3 and 4, classification and filing systems. The due date is June 14th by 11:30 p.m. and again it is valued at 15% of the final course mark. Question 1. Pick 4 of the principles of classification from the lecture notes. Explain those principles and give examples other than the examples already given to you in the lectures. This one is worth 8 points, so I'm asking for 4 principles and examples, 2 points per of each of the principles that you discuss and example given. 2. Explain the steps involved in conducting a records inventory and discuss the importance of conducting an inventory in developing a filing system. 2 parts there. Explain the steps involved in conducting a records inventory. Okay. The question does not say list the steps involved in conducting the inventory. It says explain the steps. So please expand, elaborate on your responses. This is only worth 5 points, but at the same time, you need to provide a good explanation of what the inventory can take. At my work, we've just completed an inventory. It took us 3 months to inventory 1,600 boxes of records. That's at the box level, not at the file level, and it's a lot of work. 2 dedicated staff working full-time. The second part of that is discuss the importance of conducting an inventory and developing a filing system. Now, you can go beyond that if you like. How does an inventory help us in general and specifically in a filing system? Question 3, consider the example of patient records in a medical office. What are 3 different systems they could be filed by, the filing systems? What would be the differences between these systems and what would be the advantages and disadvantages of each? Which would you choose? There's no one right filing system. Some are better fit than others, but which would you choose and why would you choose that? You may want to use a table, and in the table along the side you would have your 3 systems that you want to compare. So table's a great format to use for comparison, and then you'd have your description of what it is. You would have your advantages, and then you would have your disadvantages. So looking across, you could see this type of filing system, this type of filing system, and this type of filing system. And then you'd have a paragraph following up with which system would you choose and why? Why is that the one that you think has the best fit? Now, remember, context is so important in developing this kind of system and developing really any of the tools that we use in records management. Question 4. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. Question 3 is actually worth 10 points. So that the table, really important. Put lots of information in there for me to have a look at. Question 4 worth 5 points. What is a controlled vocabulary, and how is this useful? So, what is it? How is it useful? Question 5, what factors should be taken into account when identifying, arranging, storing, and accessing records? I'm giving you a hint here. I want you to check out Lecture 3, Section 5 on accessing records. Now, the whole reason why we do classification and design filing systems is so that staff can access records in predictable and repeatable ways. So that's essentially what this question is looking at, is designing it, but with the user's perspective in mind. What do we need to take into account so that we can ensure that end users or staff are able to identify, arrange, store, and access records? This is only worth 1 point, but you either know what it is, take the hint, or stab in the dark. So, question 6, what are unique identifiers and how are they useful to records management staff? 1 point. Question 7, a case study. You've been hired as the records manager for the local animal shelter. You have access to a list of all file titles, but there is no classification system in place. It's just a list of titles. Your first job after completing an inventory is to create a classification system. To develop, develop a multi-level classification system for the following files: Here's a hint. Take a look at lecture 3, page 4, which outlines the steps in creating a classification system. You're going to go through those steps in the hypothetical scenario. You would do essentially the same thing if you were in real life operating as a records manager for an animal shelter or a veterinary clinic. There's a listing of records there, some that are unique to that kind of organization and some that are common to any organization. Then B, as the scenario, explain your classification system, why you made the choices you did in creating it. So don't leave this part out. This question is out of 20. 15 points are for the classification scheme that you're going to develop. 5 points are to question the B component to this. Now, there's no single correct classification system. All classifications will have something that's useful to this type of scenario. But you need to provide strong reasoning to support why you made the choice you made. And I'm specifically looking at internal consistency, logic, and the way in which potentially relevant factors are taken into account. Okay? So consider the staff, the end users, the clientele, and the kind of industry that the case study focuses on. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. As usual, no cover letter is needed. 12-point font, Times New Roman. Please make sure your name is in a header or footer of each page. Single space, unless you're going to use point form or not, unless you're going to use a table or a graphic. The way that I mark or assess this, I don't deduct marks as I'm assessing. I actually add marks as I'm assessing. So if you go beyond the basic requirements for each question or for any of the questions, then I have no problem going beyond the point allocation in the assignment as well. So if you have any questions, like I said, please feel free. We'll have a chat to discuss this. We'll have a discussion thread that you can go into and post your questions or comments there. And of course, you can always email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Good luck with assignment 2.